Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
This is SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader. We start with our open line this morning, an opportunity for you to raise issues that concern you, that you feel should be on the national agenda or should form part of our nation's discourse. So you can call us on 0891104207. SMS is 34701. You can tweet us at Siki Mgabadeli or go to our Facebook page. That's Morning Talk with Siki. On Workers on Wednesday, we're looking at the state of public transport and its impact on workers' lives, also exploring possible solutions to what is effectively a low-level crisis. After 10:30, we're talking about the South African National Literary Awards, and at 11, we're speaking to Simphiwe Mngoma about his journey to success, education challenges in South Africa, and the importance of career guidance programs. He feels there is so much that everyone can do to improve the current education system, so he will share his thinking with us a little bit later. So that's the program. Call us 0891104207. Send us an SMS to 34701. Those are charged at R2. Email us at morning@safm.co.za or go to our Facebook page, Morning Talk with Siki.
Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
It's 8 minutes past 9 and it's our open line. Let's take those calls. Let's hear from Sam in East London. Hi, Sam.
Good morning, Siggy.
Hi there.
Good morning, Siggy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Sam. Talk to me.
The line's really terrible. I can't hear a thing.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what's going on.
That's better.
Do you want to stay on the line,
yes,
Sam?
Yes, I'll stay on the line.
All right, just stay on the line for me.
Good morning, Siggy. This morning I'm a disappointed man. In 1990, when Nelson Mandela was released, I, along with the whole nation, breathed a sigh of relief. I thought that we now have a chance to do something truly great, build a just, free, tolerant, and beautiful society. And for a while, I really thought that looked like this was going to happen. Then one day I woke up and I realized that we're being run by a bunch of gangsters and self-enriching fools who are busy destroying their own country, filing their own nest, just like the last lot did. Now, I know there's lots of amazing people in this country doing really good work. You're one of them, and I hear them every day on your radio. But when I look at the 4 areas that we desperately need to get right to help create a prosperous and just country, service delivery, education, health, policing, they're all in an unholy mess. And our leaders don't seem to care what's happening to the people. They live in posh areas, they send their kids to private schools, go for private health care, hire private security to protect themselves. But it's the people who are paying their salaries and pensions and all the lovely perks they get. Every time we buy something, 14% of that price goes to running the country. Isn't it ironic that our taxes collection system works so well, state-of-the-art, effective, efficient? We get IDs and passports with such ease. But there's no antibiotics at Borough. Doctors don't get paid. Here in the Eastern Cape, they laid off 4,000 teachers. The municipalities, who are supposed to be at the forefront of service delivery, are a joke. And the people running these systems come up with such lame and ineffective excuses for the state of things. Does nobody up there care what's happening to the people? And these things are not difficult to fix. Proper oversight, school inspectors, hospital inspectors, police inspectors, whatever it takes, unapologetically. Hiring expert management, not political buddies. Building incentive and punitive measures into employment contracts, unapologetically. And it's not just the politicians who are at fault here. We can't expect too much from them anyway. Every teacher who comes to work late or drunk, every nurse who steals linen or medicine or treats her patients with disdain, every cop who takes a bribe or protects his criminal buddies, every counselor who ducks his responsibilities, every man who abuses a woman or a child is undermining our attempt to create that prosperous and just society. We, each one of us, have to take charge and responsibility. We know what we have to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Siggy.
Thanks to Sam. Oh, love that call. All right, there's something odd with our telephone system, so I'm going to ask the callers to just stay on the line. We're going to see if we can reboot that and take more calls, because I don't know what's going on with that system. We'll see if we can fix that. We'll do that in a moment. Here's some tweets. Here's one from Natasha Valley who says, I don't understand why people write a speech and read it out. Maybe, Natasha, it's so that they can can remember. There's particularly with speeches, sometimes there's numbers in there that you want to remember. Okay, Joyce says, Siki, it's so sad that books are delivered in mid-year. Let me start again. So sad that books delivered in mid-year has Lesufi of Education excited. Clearly his kids are not learners there. He and Mutsecha totally disregard the black child. And Dumi in Velkom says, is Juju saying that the march to the Goodman Gallery was by a faction? Maybe it is true. Only 5,000 of the expected 15,000 turned up. And some of your Facebook messages. Funani says, Siki as Azapo, we are calling for all self-loving patriots to intensify our move to the second transition. The first transition, initiated by the likes of Reverend Simon Sihlali in 1882 with Imbumba Yaminyanya, got derailed by the ANC in 1993. As we cannot go back to the first transition, Azapo believes that the second transition is our best option as a people. ANC must go. President Jacob Zuma must go. Our Rome is burning while the ANC and President Zuma are playing the fiddle. Boyki says, Siki, can you ask the Minister of Women, Children and People Living with Disabilities what programs they have to improve the lives of disabled people who want to further their studies at tertiary level and who want to either be entrepreneurs, especially blind people. Let's hear from Kolegani in Chesterville. Hi, Kolegani.
My dear sister, good morning. How do you do?
I'm well, thank you.
I am good as well, Siki, and thank you for taking my call. But firstly, Siki, I said I was going to talk about this issue of Julius Malema. But in passing, I want to say something because I just picked it up from the first caller. Recently, I discovered that this is just a rumor, Siki, that this thing of bribes, insofar as getting your license, there's been so much increment, last time I checked, in 2008, when I was chatting to someone when I was at the stay at one of the testing stations, they had said, no, we pay about 800 rand, for us to end up getting our licenses, having tested, of course.
Yeah.
But these days, you hear people are paying 5,000 rand, Siki. It's so terrible. And seemingly, this problem is not going away. All of us, some people even investigate. Some people are caught on camera. But these things seem not to be going away, unfortunately.
So is this after someone's tested and passed and they still have to pay a bribe on top of that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Siki. You see these days, because the major problem with a number of people is that they firstly get employment, then they earn a good salary. When they realize that they qualify for a vehicle, then they try to get a license as soon as possible. Now, of course, somebody will be taught how to drive, but when they go to the station, it differs from one area to another. But I was shocked that in Verulam, here around Devon, it's not far from Devon, you pay about 5,000 rand. Even if you drive correctly and do the right thing,
you still have to pay.
But I'm also aware that some people will knock off the pole and still get the license because they've paid that amount. It is very sad. The sad part is that, Siki, this thing is not coming to an end.
And, if so many people know that these things are happening, then surely the authorities know that it's happening.
Oh, absolutely. That's the thing. This is why I'm worried in this country that it is becoming a norm that you must pay a bribe for a driver's license. And I think the majority of the drivers, especially, I must specifically say this, especially the Africans, will pay a bribe in order for them to get their licenses.
It just reminds me of what Sam was saying. It reminds me of what Sam was saying. Does anybody care? Who's going to stand up and fix it? All right, you wanted to talk about Julius or something?
Yes. I wanted to tackle this issue. Siki, you remember that I was asking you about the Thabo Mbeki lecture at some point, and unfortunately I did not make it.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Logistics at the last hour, so I just got the car later at 7, so I was already late, so I decided, no, I'm not going to go there. But Siki, I'm disappointed at the fact that I was there last year, listened to the lecture, absolutely brilliant. I loved it. But only when it suits Julius Malema, he goes there. And especially now that he's expelled, he goes there and when he comes out, he says, no, this is good, all of us should go there, you know. And yesterday, this man didn't want President Mbeki not too long ago. And today, we should all embrace President Mbeki because he thinks so. I've always embraced President Mbeki long after he left office because he's a brilliant man, of course. But for him to continually, you know, for me, I don't have a problem with the views and different views, and I think that is what makes us a better country than other countries because all of us are free to say whatever we want to say. But the continuation of attack to the President Zuma, you know, for me, it's quite hypocritical of Malema. Last year, President was sitting at the opening of their conference.
Yeah.
They never said anything. It was okay. He arrived late at the event. Well, of course, a minor apology was sent. I was disappointed, of course. But this year, when the President does not go there, send somebody. This year, no, it's a problem. Last year, it was not a problem. So it's quite hypocritical. But furthermore, I hope that when we go to the policy conference and the conference, there will be no disruption.
All right.
Because what I observed at the NTC was that when people were opposing the ideas or debating against the ANC Youth League, which I think is part and parcel of the ANC, democratic, all of us debate. But those people were howled at, you know.
Okay.
That type of behavior should be taken away.
Wait, before you go, here's a tweet.
All right.
Here's a tweet, and I'll leave you with it, from Bafedi, who says, tell that man that Juju said there are no permanent friends and enemies in politics. Things change.
Well,
Bye-bye,
I agree, but you know, Siki,
Yeah.
I don't like hypocrisy. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye, Kulekan. Let's hear from Follow in Randburg. Hi, Follow.
Hi, good morning, Siki.
Morning.
Good morning. Siki, did you have a chance to watch the funeral of the Saudi prince over the weekend?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't have a chance.
Mm-mm.
You know, I've watched that funeral, and I've learned a free lesson that I would like to share with the listeners of SFM.
Mm-hmm.
But before I share with your listeners the free lesson, I would like to ask you a favor.
My what?
I would like to ask you a favor.
Okay.
You see, you know, this funeral, it reminds me of my hero. Here in South Africa politics, I've got only one hero, who is Joe Slovo.
Yeah.
You see, it reminds me the funeral of Joe Slovo. It reminded me the life of Joe Slovo. I would like to ask you a favor. Please, in this time of political turmoil in South Africa, could you just dedicate 1 hour to pay tribute to Joe Slovo? If you could just invite his family, his friends, his colleagues to share with us his life, we are going to be inspired.
All right. We'll see what we can do.
It's a favor that I'm asking you.
All right. We'll see what we can do. Follow. Just so tell us about the funeral.
I will appreciate that. Yeah, the first lesson that I've learned are as follows. The first lesson, you know, in Africa, we have spent so much money to go overseas, to go to Europe, to seek treatment. We think that going to Switzerland or going to France, it will cure us. It will cure us of our diseases. You remember the president of Zambia? He went to die overseas. The president Mwanawasa. You remember the president of Gabon, Mr. Omar Bongo. He went to die overseas. The president of Togo, Adema, he went to die overseas. Even the wife of the president of Nigeria, General Obasanjo, his wife, she went to die in Spain. Now we spend so much money going overseas to seek treatment, and then we come back home dead. It's just a waste of money. See, the Saudi prince, he received the best treatment in Switzerland, yet he couldn't make it. So African people, let must learn from this. We must stop going overseas to seek treatment. We're just wasting money for nothing.
Thanks to Folo. Let's hear from Faisal in Mayfair. Hi, Faisal.
Hi, good morning, Siki.
Hi.
Hi, Siki. Siki, in the United Kingdom, there's a person by the name of Tony Nicholson, and he's apparently suffering from he's a very severe...
Faisal? Okay. There's funny things going on my screen. I don't know what happened to Faisal. Try again, Faisal. We'll take more calls. We're just going to fix this so that we can get all of you on the line. And there's also lots of SMSs. I'll read those in a moment.
Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
24 minutes past 9. It's our open line. We're going to take calls in a moment. Here's some tweets. At S. Mkize says, 17 million rand for an hour by Beyonce is way out of our league. Come on. And at Nomazetu says, Sam, amazing caller. Does anybody care? And really, a very, very, very insightful call from Sam in East London, who started off our program this morning. Some of your SMSs sent through to 34701. Someone who signs as a COPE member in Cape Town says, our noises have been heard. ANC branches are making a progressive move for taxpayers to fund only one wife of JZ. Each gets 36,000 rand a month. And someone who signs as, is it ANC member in Greytown says, SACP correct. Bongingosi Blade Nzimande was never IFP, but Ingata Yengulego Yesizwe. Blade will now deny that Utelezi was ANC. And Tsebisile says, may I congratulate Jeff Khadebe, Blade Nzimande, Malusi Gigaba and Natim Tetwa for defending Zuma. Also defend Simelane and Mdluli. Elliot in Woodbank says, biased and sanitized coverage of the events at the PE Youth Day by the SABC was a disgrace to journalism. And ZJG says, contradiction. ANC said no more non-medical managers managing hospitals. Same ANC takes someone from business to lead SAPS. African national contradictions. And some Lirutle says, ANC infighting is far worse than of COPE. Former MK commander and SACP in the Western Cape, Tony Yengeni, called Blade a former IFP stalwart. Can JZ unite the ANC? Stay in KZN says, Siki, is it not time that JZ considers not to run and Mutlante let us have Ramaphosa or Manuel? Why invest billions when we still have schools under a tree? And someone says, well said, Sam, this is very true. Unless the people at the top do something, there is little hope. And someone who signs as a BA student at UKZN says, Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Nesbu, can you tell us which university you attended, degree you completed, and for how long? If you were a dropout, you should resign. Someone who signs as SAD in KZN says, Siki, just want to say you can work for the government in a certain department and do as little as possible, sleep and still get paid. And another one says, it's true, traffic officers testing have nice Sanditon traffic officers are the most opulent municipal employees. They are the talk of the town concerned. All right, let's go to Faisal in Mayfair. I don't know what happened there. Morning, Faisal.
Hi, Siki.
Hi.
Siki, as I was saying, in the United Kingdom, there's a person by the name of Tony Nicholson. He's a severely disabled person with the only to express himself is by blinking his eyes. Now, he's applied to the High Court in Britain that he allowed me to have euthanasia, and that any doctor that helps him commit euthanasia shouldn't face any criminal charges. Now, I just want to quote you one section of what he stated. Nicholson said, "It is a person's first human right to be able to determine when, where, and how to end his own life. All this talk about a person's life being a gift from God, and only He can decide when a person's life can end, is utter rubbish. I object to being told when I can and cannot do by a faith I do not believe in, because he is an atheist. I am denied by my most basic human right. I object to society telling me that I must live until I die of natural causes, and I will do all I can to restore those rights." Okay. Now, I support Nicholson in his but to be able to have euthanasia, but I want to ask you, Siki, maybe you can get some of the people from Parliament to talk about euthanasia in South Africa as well. I mean, we this is a growing problem, and we seem to have none of the ministers from Parliament to be able to discuss this particular issue. I mean, why are we putting our head in the sand?
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Faisal.
you.
Bye. Interesting topic, that, euthanasia. Tabang in Johannesburg, good morning.
Morning, Sikia. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Tabang.
Fine, thanks. Sikia, I just want to quickly raise the issue of the wage negotiation and Mama Volo's issue. Sikia, the issue regarding the wage negotiations, I just want to appeal to my colleagues in public service to just accept the offer. Here are my reasons, Siki. I know very well that we are not going to get anything out of the negotiations up to so far, because already the government has put an offer on the table. And we know very well that you go to strike and our leaders will take a decision on our behalf to suspend the strike or to even call the strike off without consulting with the workers.
Okay.
So we just have to accept this salary, that this percentage that the government is giving, and move on, because I know this has got everything to do with Mangaung. If you check in 2007 strike, Siki, and the tone of the leadership of COSATU then, you could see that it was politically motivated.
Okay.
But the risk, I've never heard of any leader from COSATU actually lambasting the 6.5% and 100 increase on housing allowance. And yet we don't even understand what this housing scheme is all about. But yet we are being told that we have to accept this. But some of us are used to these things, so we can no longer be taken for a ride by our unions.
Okay.
Quickly, Siki, on the issue of Mama Volo. I'm just asking myself questions here. This guy has been allegedly tested positive of this banned substance. I just want to check. These guys who actually, the fans on the street who give these runners water or whatever drinks, are those drinks tested or what? Because is it possible that maybe somebody can just give a runner something that is banned, or is it possible that it can happen? I just want to probably maybe if you can just find out for me, because I'm very much curious about it.
All right. I'm not a runner, so I'm hoping that someone who is might be able to tell us what the procedure is for those guys, the people who give out the drinks along the route.
Every time when you watch TV, you'll see these fans giving people water in plastic or whatever. So I just want to check if those things have been tested, or maybe somebody can just maybe trick you and give you something that is banned.
All right. Thanks, Tabang. I'm hoping someone, please, if you're a runner, if you understand how the whole system works, do call us and let us know what happens in that situation, talking about Mama Bulu there. And it's our open line. We're taking calls on 0891104207, SMSs to 34701. Let's read some SMSs. Gavin Hammond in KZN says, Zuma is fixing up the mistakes of both Mandela and Thabo Mbeki. Hands off Zuma. Nom Saxele says, Butimana Mela attacked Kgalema Motlanthe in the presence of Mantashe. Julius Malema once attacked Zuma in the presence of Matthews Bosa. It's a draw. And is it Michael who says, yesterday a call was made that a march be staged condemning rape, yet the same person was the one who said a lady that alleged being raped enjoyed it. All right. And S. Mota says there is implosion in the ANC in the Free State, the Northwest, and NEC, where Yengeni reminded Blade that he was IFP, which is not wrong. Many joined the ANC from the IFP. Nell says, Siki, OR Tambo is the gateway to our country. Theft from luggage, poor signage, dirty waiting rooms, uninformed assistance. Wow. And another one says, why JZ always supported when taking his personal matters to court, but Begitsele John Block do not get the same support. Does Zuma pay extra subscription? That's from Zongi in Cape Town. Someone says, Siki, we just cannot afford Beyonce and we don't want her. We have the best talent here, but people must believe that because it's true. And Edwin Govender in PE says, let's be honest, there's no evidence beyond reasonable doubt to prove that General Cele received a bribe and was or is a friend of Roo Shabangu. Pat Singh says, I feel sorry for Minister S.J. Ndebele from discussing aviation, shipping tolls. He is now looking after J.K. Silibi's Fiso Zulu, Robert McBride, and Judge Nkola, and that Nkola Mutata, I suppose, and that's from Pat Singh. Some tweets, and then I'll take calls. At Mrs. Zondi says, is it sheer business brilliance or cronyism that only top ANC members are top business people in this country? And at Wandile Mayeza says, big up to the Eastern Cape ANC. We should also pay for one of Zuma's wives and let him hustle for the rest. Solly in Johannesburg, good morning.
Good morning, Siki. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Solly.
Yes, man. I want to start by saying that I'm refreshed by the first caller.
Sam, yeah.
Sam, yeah. The things that he said, I wish that every politician was listening and do something about the things that he has expressed. But what I want to talk about this morning, it is my appreciation for the leadership of the Afrikaner society. So those guys, according to the way I judge them, they do their work diligently, of taking the interest of their constituency seriously. And then I wish that it could be the case also with our leadership, especially because of they are now governing the country. I will give you an example, Siki. There was an incident that happened in Delmas. I think there was a baby who was a victim in that incident. And then they didn't take that as a norm that should happen to the baby, but they marched, I think, yesterday to Union Building to express their dissatisfaction about the situation of crime in the country. But with us, we are in government, and then seemingly it has become normal to see the children studying under the tree and so on and so on. So I wish that the very same spirit or the vigor with which they take their matters, that also our leadership will do the same.
Okay.
So I'm in a way appreciating them for doing what they do for their constituents, and I also wish that the same will happen with their leadership, that they don't forget that they are there because of we have voted them to take our interests seriously.
Thanks to Solly in Johannesburg. Erastus in Witbank, you're going to explain the Mamabolo issue. Hi.
How are you, Siggy?
I'm well, thank you.
I'm great. Siggy, I just want to comment on what this previous caller said, the one before you went to the news update.
Yes.
When he spoke about the runner who allegedly tested positive for a banned substance.
Yeah.
Surely he raised a very crucial point. The people who give them water on the road, how do we know if there is... We're not accusing anyone of anything. Because if these people are running there, there's a price to be won. There is a lot that is at stake. Do you understand? I may be there with other people giving water. And then if I see the one who's going to cross the finish line before one of the person from our country is coming, perhaps I may have received some money. It's possible that I can give him the water. If he takes it, and then that's it. And then obviously if you win, most of the time you get tested. So I think the guy has raised a very crucial point. I think they need to do something about that. It's very serious.
You don't think that there would be security, surely, and people checked what they're giving out? I mean, I doubt that anyone could just walk up.
Well, from our observations, absolutely there wouldn't be. There's no security. I mean, the people are in the street. How would they know? I mean, they're not giving only one, what you call a bottle of water. They give them plenty. There are plenty of people queuing there. So how would they know? Can the security test each and every person who brings water, who's going to give water, dish out water to those people?
So you're suggesting that maybe they had the substance in their pockets and would add it to...
We're not accusing anyone of
anything. No, I hear you.
But something might go wrong there.
Okay.
Because there is a lot at stake. That price, believe you me, there is a lot at stake. At stake here. So they need to look into that. The people who go out there and give them water, they need to check each and everything. Because, I mean, it's like soccer. Guys, they get caught using banned substances. So sometimes, how do you know? How did the referees or official know that this guy must be tested? How did they know? Somebody might have known something. Maybe he's using the same substance with them on that particular day. He didn't use it, and he knows that this guy has used it. So they might be tipped off. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of things happening. Money is involved in this whole thing.
All right. Well, we'll hear what, maybe someone can explain to us what happens with the people giving the water.
In actual fact, we don't know, but we need them to check this thing if they are not checking everything as far as this is concerned, because it's a very, very serious thing. The guy, he spoke something very crucial which need to be taken up.
All right. Thanks, Erastus. Anele, Mpo, and Sig will come to you in a moment.
Yes, we're a nation of doers, but when we unite, we become a nation of heroes. Transform into a Wonder Gogo or Flash Guzzy. Unleash the Invincible Walker or Mega Rockers. Even evolve into the Ultimate Tata. Be a hero. Donate life-giving blood. Visit your nearest donor center or blood drive during the month of June to stand a chance of winning one of 100 autographed Parlourtone CDs. Go to sanbs.org.za for more.
In life, it's the simple things that add value, like being connected with Telkom Simple. Get fast internet with 5 gigs every month, plus a free 8-hour 3G dongle with once-off 500 megabytes data. It includes landline rental, free ADSL installation, and free evening and weekend calls on a contract, all for just 399 Rand per month. Get great value with Telkom Simple. Visit a Telkom Direct store, call 0800 000011 or SMS Simple to 34702 and we'll call you back. SMS cost 2 Rand. T's and C's apply.
The SABC requires the services of a monitoring service provider to report on advertising, music and genres as broadcast on SABC Radio. The service provider will work closely with the SABC internal audit, radio stations management, as well as group sales and marketing. Tender documents are obtainable from Thursday, the 10th of March, so they've been available between 8 and 4 upon receipt of proof of payment on a non-refundable fee of 1,000 Rand made to SABC Limited at ABSA, account number 284-000-1124. The branch is Auckland Park and the reference number is SGG/12/02. The closing date is the 13th of July at midday. For inquiries regarding collection of documents, contact Mpumelelo Chiliza at the tender office on 011-714-4749 and Mimi Lushaba on 011-714-4764 at SABC Radio Park, Henley Road, Auckland Park, Johannesburg.
Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
And just to talk about this Mamabuli issue, here's a couple of SMSs. NJR says, if I was a runner of note, I would not accept water from a stranger during the race. Mike in Polokwane says, and this is for you, Erastus and Tabang, samples for doping tests are taken before the event and are divided into 2 storages for A and B samples. So what was tested was before the day of the race. So let's hear from Anil Mda in Pretoria. Hi, Anil.
Good morning, Siki. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Yes, in passing, let me just also add my voice in the concerns of people that are saying, while people are outrageous at the notion that there's a possibility that Beyonce can lead in our shows and perform at a 17 million hourly rate. It's also discouraging that we are often, as a public, called upon by our artists that we must support their cause of ensuring that they are able to be recognized and their work is being appreciated in this country. But when you see them in instances like these, opportunistically one by one, getting behind one another and approaching the department to say, okay, I am available to be an open act for Beyonce. I mean, it also shows that they are not really taking their struggle seriously as South African artists. At least showcase their unity and one voice to say, can we stand together on this one and say, no Beyonce, our artists, and us only in this country, at least for this one. If it's sports awards, why do you need Beyonce? But that was just in passing.
So you're going to start a petition, and will you start a petition?
Sorry?
Will you start a petition?
Well, I'm willing. In fact, I'm very vocal on it to say that if it means that there must be an interdict to say the department, if it's saying it's going to fundraise, it must not fundraise for sporting facilities in rural areas. It must not fundraise for Beyonce. If it's going to take money from its own coffers, it must take money from its own coffers for a sports awards concert of our artists. I'm very much available to try.
Okay.
The issue, though, that I wanted to raise, which I think it's very serious to me, is that, you know, the assertion that was made by the Minister of Social Development that this country has lost about 2 billion already through exploitation of social grants by the foreign nationals in this country. It's a serious issue for me, more especially because in rural areas you find children who are raised by their grandparents whose mothers have left them with their grandparents, who are unable to access social grants because at the application center they will tell you that bring the mother, the biological mother or biological parents. How do these people get to be able to exploit the system? It's an indictment to the department because it tells you that you've got inside people who are able to assist these people. But also, Siki, it says to our government, we can no longer go on with the government being so willy-nilly and wobbling on how do we deal with the high numbers of foreign nationals in this country. I mean, we know from historical struggle that South Africa has been assisted by a lot of African countries during apartheid era. But it cannot be that the historical contributions are going to be eroded at the expense of South Africans not being able to get the services from their government, and the people who find themselves half occupying the room, foreign nationals, to a point where we lose 2 billion in this country. It's too much.
That's a lot of money. Absolutely.
Really too much.
Thanks, Anele. Jerry in Bloem.
Morning, Siki.
Morning, Jerry.
I have two issues to touch on. One political, the other one cultural. Siki, I have a problem with right? There was this report yesterday that South Africa has pledged, or rather donate $2 million to IMF, of which it was not a proper or a true reflection of what happened. And the South African government had to come on different media platforms to explain what happened here. To say this is not people. Let us put it this way: after this media report, people were already spitting anger fire, to say how can South African give away so much money whilst we are having so many domestic problems. So now the South African government had to come to different media platforms to explain that this was foreign reserves, money that is used outside the country for whatever the problems, let's say, foreign debts and all that. And they had to explain this is not just a donation, but a loan, which will have its own interest, not a loss. So I'm having a problem with South African media. And, I've noticed that South African people just consume the print media as it is, like without analyzing or whatsoever, and that really, really bothers me. And the second issue is on culture. Sakina, I have a problem. Siki. I have a problem with people when they label whatever the practices they have in Africa. Say this is what, let's say people are practicing something and they label it as African culture. What happened here on the southern tip might conflict with what's being practiced on the northern tip of Africa. They might be totally opposite. What is being practiced in Kenya might be opposite to what is being practiced in Ghana. Let's say it's about marriage or it's about the Lobola issues, whatever. They might be opposite. So how do you come and put them in the same basket and say this is African, like African culture? I mean, I believe human beings are not homogeneous. No.
Okay, so they shouldn't call it African culture. All right.
Different ways of doing things. You must also remember Africa is the second biggest continent in the world. So things which are being practiced across the continent might be totally different, but meaning almost the same thing. So I have a problem with that.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. SMSs. Fikile Mbambi in Cape Town says, Siki, it is sad that those who commit crime in this government, like government officials, are only fired or keep their jobs while the DA supports racism. Okay, I don't understand. Fikile, which is it? National government, provincial government? What are you saying? JPE says, Siki, the mentally challenged girl who has been gang raped should have been taken by the SAPS to a district surgeon and then to a psychiatric hospital for assessment. Saban says, my plea to the ANC as it is going to the policy conference is to review the abolishment of provinces as they are divisive to South African society. TK in the Free State says, Siki, this Malema story appalls me. They are now fighting for positions. I ask, where are people who fought for this country? Why allow this guy to destroy the ANC? And Mike in Mutse says there are idiots in this country who are obsessed with the ANC and they can't think anything positive. And is it JP who says it's amazing that a judge refused to sentence a sex offender when they use their discretion when dealing with speeding, where there are prescribed penalties. And is it Don who says Jacob Zuma will ride the trains and buses trying to be visible. Motlanthe and Vavi will go to Aurora mine workers and victims of domestic and sexual abuse. And what's it? Was it Joe who says, funny, the highly vocal against JZ are the most corrupt. The ANC is on the verge of self-destruction. JKG Sutsubi says, we had friends of Jacob Zuma, now friends of Julius Malema. What happened to friends of Jackie Silibi? I'm sure we will have friends of Bheki Cele. And someone says it's on the doping issue. There's a random test immediately after the race for the top 10 runners. It can be any one of the 10. So clearly there's a test before and then a test afterwards. And is it NJ who says, what about quotas for soccer? I'm sure that there must be a few good white players who can qualify for selection. And is it what? Luandle in Kokstad says, when I was working between 1995 and 2005, we toyed before being given 10%, but we were only slapped on the face by 5.5%. Now in 2010, government still offers less than 10%. That's unfair. Frank, Sagan, Peter, I'll come to you in a moment.
Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
We have 5 minutes left, 3 callers on the line. I'm going to ask each of them to be as brief as possible. There's also emails I need to read and many other things to do. Sigyn Randberg, morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Siki. Just a very shorty on the road running. I'm an enthusiastic road runner, which is the most non-racial and beautifully national cohesion building sport in the country. It does the most for our racial goodwill, and I'm so sorry that this winner of the Comrades infused himself with dope.
It's still alleged at the moment.
It's alleged, but the thing is, if you knew that there were hundreds of wonderful helpers, they're all doing it for nothing. They're dishing out water and drinks and stuff, and these hundreds of people are helping all these runners along the road on this wonderful human race, and there's no ways that with all these hundreds of people around that a single or several or teams could go out to sabotage the Comrades winner. It's just not physically possible. But what I really called for was to say that in anticipation of your discussion later this morning about education, I would have liked to have asked people to phone in and say whether they have ever heard of anything positive done by COSAS, which is the world's unique. There is no other student organization, no other political organization at school level throughout the entire world, except in this corrupt nation where they create gangsters at school level to sabotage education. And they don't promote education. Yeah. They don't fight the crooked teachers and principals. They only sabotage education. COSAS does. And they I asked everyone to be brief.
Otherwise, Frank and Peter won't be able to talk to me. Frank in Roodepoort, morning.
Hello, Sigi.
Hi, Frank.
Two issues. I'll be quick. The first one, obviously, I was going to talk about the road running. I think South Africans have become victims. We even come to think that there are people who are sabotaging us, and I think that is absurd. The second point is that yesterday I heard on the news clip about the president having pledged 2 billion rands or dollars to the IMF. In the sea of poverty and what you see, schools studying under trees, this is really, really shocking and upset for the state president to actually do that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank, and thanks for being brief. Peter and Grahamstown, morning.
Vicky, thanks very much. Look, basically in support of Sam, the first caller, I heard part of what he said. I was actually driving. We all feel, well, most thinking people feel as desperate as what Sam does. Now, yesterday I offered a solution, and I wasn't very happy with your Dr. Richards' response. He assumes that the pupils don't really want a good education like he got, because he said the inmates can't run the asylum. Now, I'd like people who are listening to what I say now to take the ball and don't drop it. We're not doing anything illegal by monitoring teachers. It's basically the principal's job, yes. But I'd like to suggest that we start a movement. This is just one facet. Education gets mentioned many times on your program. Now, we've got to actually not make this just a talk show. Let's take action. Let some of the parents of pupils... Now, you've got to be pretty unusual if you don't want your child to have a good education. A lot of your listeners will agree with me that we want to improve education. Let's take the matter into our own hands. Start a movement where you register teachers who are not doing their job properly and are, in fact, molesting young schoolgirls. There are many of them, and let's do something. And then have a program, and then have a future program, and see how much good effect this has done, the suggestion of mine. See how the schools improve. See how those teachers live in fear. They must live in fear of losing their job, not only losing their job, but being prosecuted, because I've got evidence that the police don't do their job properly when a teacher actually molests a child. So let's do something about my suggestion. The inmates can, in fact, do something with the asylum, which has become some of our schools.
All right.
Thanks very much for letting me talk. But there are many other issues which we could actually take the ball and not drop it.
But
not
as you
only
say,
education, hospitals as well.
As you say, it's going to start with the adults. It's going to start with the parents and all of that, yeah. Okay, thanks, Peter. That's Peter in Grahamstown. Interesting suggestion. What do you think about it? Maybe send me an email, and I'll ask Peter as well to do that. Send me an email. We can see what sort of a movement we can all start together. Lots of SMSs. I've got an email from Sam Ditsejo as well. I'll read all of that after the news at 10 with
Morning Talk with Siki Mgabadeli.
5.5 minutes past 10 here on SAFM 104 to 107. I've had a number of tweets and also SMSs and emails, people asking that we podcast Sam's comments this morning. He's our very first caller today, so we're going to put that on our website, www.safm.co.za. If you missed what Sam from East London said, hopefully it should be up there by this afternoon. Right, let's just wrap up our open line, and I'm going to read some of your SMSs, and also I've got 2 emails. The one email is from Zamo Orlando, who says, hello Sikelelwa, Mamabulo is a professional athlete and has a team of support that manages his intake of refreshments. Yes, for me as a casual runner, the opportunity is there for me to consume contaminated water or drink from the street, but not the professional athletes. As a professional athlete, you need to know what you are consuming. The Mr. Price Club, who provide all the support in terms of professionals, dietitians, etc., must answer. Maybe we should talk about doping. have a discussion about it. And here's one from Sam Ditsejo, who says, I wish the Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, and the Public Protector, Thuli Madonsela, could listen to this email and decide if what is contained herein doesn't warrant an investigation. The Botswana Guardian of the 1st of June reported that the Special Pensions Office at the National Treasury recently paid a woman who is a citizen of Botswana a 2 million rand lump sum, and she is going to be paid a monthly amount of 5,000 pula. There were South African citizens who were hanged for their political activism, but none of their families were paid millions of rands as far as I'm aware. They were paid a meager 60,000 rand. According to the Special Pensions Act, only citizens of South Africa are eligible for a special pension. However, 3 citizens of Botswana, Motsamai Mpho, Michael Dingake, and the late Fish Kitseng, got it. The family of the hanged Josiah Muchumi of the PAC and Poko in Mogale City got nothing, because the Special Pension Act says only the wife and children should be beneficiaries. He had no wife and children when he was hanged. So his siblings, 2 old ladies, the oldest being 86 years old and the youngest about 80 years old, got nothing. I helped them write a letter to President Jacob Zuma 3 years ago requesting a presidential decree, but the letter was not only not responded to, but was also not acknowledged. Yet at the opening of the gallows as a museum at Pretoria Central Prison last year, Muchumi was one of those hanged political prisoners that President Zuma mentioned in his speech. So the Special Pensions Act can be circumvented when it comes to some Botswana citizens who didn't pay with their lives, but it cannot be circumvented when it comes to someone who paid the ultimate price for the freedom we enjoy today. Let me borrow from the words of Mark Antony in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar and say, I quote, "My heart lies there in the coffin with Josiah Muchumi, and I must pause until it comes back to me." And that's an email from Sam Ditsejo. All right, let's read some of your SMSs and then we'll move on to Workers on Wednesday. Dumisani Zungu says, Siki, please, I saw something that says Mdu Manana was performing badly at university and might not have finished his degree. Invite him. And another one says, with regard to alcohol abuse, Mrs. Batabile Lamini should visit any township tavern and see what is beyond alcohol abuse. And John says we should all pay attention to the Bible prophecy. 1914 is a marked year in the Bible. At that time, Jesus became king. Priscilla in Cape Town says, Cape Town is clearing the city of all vagrants. Where are they taking them? Do the homeless become criminals now? And someone says, Jacob Zuma will rule South Africa up until 2040. Eat your hearts out. And Patrick in Pietermaritzburg says, why was there no doping suspicion when Charles Matthias was disqualified? Selective memory. And Facebook. Hey. Shelton Andrea says, I want to talk about today's youth. They are being used by politicians to gain public favor. For example, I'm yet to see a demonstration for quality education that equals demonstrations for employment by a lot of uneducated youths. Yes, employment is a crime. 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 Yes, employment is a crime.